Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
What's up guys, Max Lally here. I'm an Irish MMA fighter from Ashbourne, Meath in Ireland, and I am currently 1-0 as a professional MMA fighter. My roots would be in Jiu-Jitsu. I started Jiu-Jitsu as a young kid. I was 9 years of age. I got into it through my father and his friend, and have continued it ever since, and have recently, over the past 4 years, transitioned into MMA. I think it was in God's faith, if that makes sense. During the lockdown, I was looking for jiu-jitsu training. I had been over in Henzo Gracie's in New York City, training with all of the Danaher Death Squad and stuff like that, so I was looking to be busy and compete in jiu-jitsu. I wasn't able to find any jiu-jitsu going on in the country during COVID, and I found a bit of MMA training, started doing the MMA training, got smashed, and here we are now, still doing it till this day. I love it because I don't think there's any other feeling in the world that makes you feel more human and makes you feel more down to earth, if that makes sense. Once you're humbled, I find you don't really have too much to lose when you're inside of the cage, you know. So this is why back home and all over the world, I always look to get humbled by as many fighters as possible, looking to go into the cage then with absolutely no fear whatsoever, knowing that I've been put in these hard positions before and can fight through them, you know. I have a few different gyms. My head MMA coach is Owen Roddy, and he's out of SBG Charlestown. My wrestling coach Sergey is out of SBG Nice. My striking coach Collie Mahon is out of Dublin Combat Academy in Dublin, and then my strength and conditioning coach at Irish Strength Institute on the Malahide Road, John Connor. Those four guys are fine-tuning me to become an animal. I've always been a huge believer in this, that you have to train each discipline with the best guys you can, and around the country, those are the best guys in my opinion. My four coaches, they're the best at what they do. So it was almost a no-brainer for me. From my first amateur fight, I was with them guys, you know what I mean? I've been with them guys from my first amateur fight to my first pro fight, and hopefully my last pro fight, you know? Them guys are the only reason I am where I am right now, and as I said before, I've nothing but thanks for them, you know? I just think it's important for a fighter not to get too comfortable in their little pond, you know? There's a sea out there full of bigger fish, and you need to go find them and test yourselves as much as you can, you know? My first amateur MMA fight was a good experience. I had Sergey, Owen and Collie all there in the corner for me first fight, and it was a first round submission really quickly. I remember in that fight, you know, I had previously won the IMAF under 18 cadets world championships at 170 at welterweight, so I had cut a bit of weight, got down to 155 and fought he had 12 amateur fights altogether. I had none. I wanted to go in there early and test myself against them experienced guys who have been around the block, you know, and I was able to dismantle them with me grappling fairly quick, you know. Sergey, Owen and Collie, they all knew the game plan before I went in there, you know, so it was great, you know, to get the ball rolling with that first win, you know. I think it's extremely valuable because I really do believe some of the amateurs that I fought who are still fighting amateur are going to be better than some of the pros I fight in my first 2 or 3 fights, you know. It's so important to get tested on that higher end of amateur because it's somewhere you've been before, you've felt it, and you've felt it in almost, I want to say, because at amateur your record doesn't matter. I can win 9 fights I can lose 9 fights in a row, and I can get a bundle experience from that in comparison to if I go pro straight away and I start learning my lessons in pro, that's gonna affect my record and also my future, you know. So that's why I decided I took many amateur fights, including my kind of pre-adulthood. I probably had in the ballpark of 16, 17 amateur fights, you know. So I do have a wealth of experience behind me, and that experience carries over into the pro cage now for myself, you know. So I just think it's super valuable, you know. Fight as much times as you can amateur, because this is a sport. I'm 20 years of age, and I know I have time, you know, and I have to use this time wisely now, you know, to really adapt and get used to get time in that pro cage as well, you know. I knew it was kind of time to go pro, because what was happening to me at amateur was I had gotten my record up to 9-0, and I fought some of the best guys all over the country in Ireland, you know. And it just got to a stage where I was having to wait too long to get amateur fights. And what would happen was, if someone would pull out on 3 weeks or 2 weeks notice, it would be very rarely that I would get a replacement in time or stuff like that. It would have been August of last year. I was looking for fights all over Europe, all over Amsterdam, Poland, looking for different opponents, potential opponents for myself to give me that like final test before I kind of made my pro debut. But for whatever fate happened, and I couldn't get one, so I decided to make my pro debut in September. And that was the whole reasoning behind it. I'm a fighter that likes to stay active, you know, and if I'm not able to stay active, I will go elsewhere to look for fights, you know. I have to say, out of all of my training camps that I've ever had, I think my pro debut was probably one of the most perfect camps I've ever had, you know. Usually I'm used to going in with a few niggles, a few kind of issues or whatever like that, but I think that was the first time I went into the cage at least 80-90%, you know, 80-90% prepared, you know. I never say 100% prepared, because no one's ever 100% prepared for a fight, you know. But due to me, I had 2 scheduled amateur fights. Before that, I had said to my coaches, I want to make my pro debut in September at the start of the year, and it was put down, and we were like, okay, we'll see how many amateur fights we get before that. I had a very tough fight in April up in Belfast against a good kid out of Fight Academy Ireland. All them guys up there, they're really good fighters, you know, so I had a really good test against him. But after that fight, I was struggling to get fights, so I decided that I would forget about amateur and have a nice long camp, I think it would have been in the ballpark about 12 to 14 weeks leading up to this fight of good consistent training. And I was able to get my French opponent out in 90 seconds. I TKO'd him, you know, so the hard work definitely paid off. I'm not a fighter that goes from camp to camp. I'm always in the gym, so I'm always ready, you know. I'm always ready to take them short notice fights. I'm always ready to go, so it's just more so of a time and a place, and let's do it, you know. Well, it obviously it's a compliment, but at the same time, I am here in this sport to be myself and to create my own path in a way, you know. I respectfully, I want to do my own thing, you know what I mean. I want to do what Max Lally wants to do, and that's what I'm planning on doing, making my own path towards the UFC and making my own path towards the belt at some stage, you know. I'm nothing without the people that I have behind me, my family, my supporters, my coaches, my training partners. I'm nothing without all these people, you know. The only reason I'm here is because of all those guys, you know. And I'm happy to be able to represent my family, my hometown, and all my coaches and training partners and supporters in that way, you know. That's what's special to me. Of course, it's a compliment being called a huge prospect and stuff like that, but I like to do it because I feel like I'm representing myself, but representing a whole different group of people also, you know. And those people just give me energy and motivation to get in the gym and train and work hard every day, you know. Conor kind of had his run at the UFC. I would have been in and around the gym, so I kind of got to witness that firsthand. And as a young kid, you know, seeing the amount of training that them elite fighters are doing, it's a bundle of knowledge, and money can't buy that, you know what I mean. And even looking at James in the gym when he was coming up, Conor, all the guys, you know, it was like a wealth of experience for me as a teenager to be able to, you know, see that and to be like, this is what these guys are doing, and these guys are top, these guys are elite, you know what I mean. So it was almost like a copy and paste thing when I was younger, and I'd see all these guys on the mat, and I would try to do twice as much as them, you know, just for my own sake, just for my own head, to be like, you're going to be as good as these guys one day. And now I'm here, like, you know, as a young adult, Being a professional MMA fighter, not even being a champion, but being a professional MMA fighter was a childhood dream of mine. And now I'm here, you know, so I feel like that's an accomplishment in itself, but I am far from satisfied. I'm far from satisfied from where I am, and I'm really hungry to get many fights behind my name and start climbing towards where I want to go to, you know. I'm very fortunate for being around all these guys for so many years to give me a taste of what it's like, but now I want to experience it for myself, you know. I want to get there myself and experience what it's like to be in that spotlight myself, so I'm really looking forward to that. I find when I am over here, I am more focused on the task at hand, if that makes sense. I find the lifestyle outside of the gym suits me a lot better to get to the gym than back home, you know. The weather over here is great, you know. I have a nice selection of different training partners, so it is almost like a free competition, you know. I'm getting to train, I'm getting to spar all these different fighters with different looks, different ways of how they approach fighting, and it's like I get to gauge myself off all these different looks, so I'm very fortunate for that. You have Alex, Woody, George, Frank, Peter, all the Thai coaches, you know, Anwar as well. It's like you have a good group of guys here as well that just create such a good environment to train in. So it's not even a session, it's not even a case of me being too tired to come to the gym. I still want to go to the gym and see all these guys and talk with them, you know. And that's what I think is so great about over here. It's just such a great environment to be in, and it makes training camp 110% easier, you know. So in the next 2 years, 3 years, I will be looking to have at least 10 to 12 pro MMA fights. On what stages, I am not too sure. I know my first 3 to 4 fights will all be on the regional scene to get that valuable cage time for myself. Each opponent that I fight will be a step up, if that makes sense, you know. But that's what I'm looking for. In terms of long-term goals, I'm more of a take it one day at a time. We all have that ultimate goal, but I feel like I'm only 20 years of age. I have a nice 3-4 years here now to improve, for skill acquisition, to obtain new skills and almost try to perfect them and add them to my own game. So in a way, I'm in no rush, but then at the same time, I'm a fighter, so I want to fight, you know. So I'd like for this year anyway, what I have planned is 3 pro fights, and I'd love to be 4-0 before the end of the year. That's my plan for this year, you know. So I'll stay true to that and train until the cows come home, until that happens, you know. Mom, Dad, and Christian, and Lulu and Dexter, my 2 dogs, I love yous all. All my supporters that are coming out to watch me fight on Cage Legacy, March 24th, the Pillow Hotel, my hometown. I'm the main event. I appreciate you all for getting tickets. I love yous all to bits. All my coaches and my training partners back home, I am where I am because of yous. I really appreciate yous, and I'm looking forward to seeing yous when I get home and showing you some new skills. Thanks guys, really appreciate it.